All right. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Old Card Shop. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be doing a different style of video today, and if you're just now tuning in, you're seeing my screen here on the Brilliant Stars booster box. This is going to be a different type of analysis video where we're looking at trends of prices, and I'm going to be inputting a little bit of my anecdotal experience in with it. So we're going to try to look at data as much as we can from some of these products, and we're going to go not starting with Brilliant Stars, even though that's going to be the main topic of our video here. There's going to be a story about Brilliant Stars, and there's going to be a lesson around it, but we're going to start actually at the beginning of what I believe is sort of the modern hype that happened in the big, sort of, we'll call it Logan Paul 2020 boom that happened this last few years. And so we're going to go all the way back to the first booster box that I remember carrying in my particular shop, and we're going to look at Darkness Ablaze. Now, we are going to be using the TCG Player sort of price history tracking trend tool here. Now, some of this data is going to be good because it goes back about a year, but some things like Darkness Ablaze and even Vivid Voltage and Battle Styles, those sets we don't have a full year of data on quite yet. I think Chilling Reign's sort of a little bit farther back than a year as well, and so we're going to input a little anecdotal experience into that just to sort of spice up the data. And so what we see here is Darkness Ablaze. Right now it's sitting at a healthy $127 a booster box. Now, Darkness Ablaze I would consider as to be a sort of a bad set. Now, what I mean by bad and good sets is of course subjective to everyone. Now, some people say they love Darkness Ablaze. I don't know how many people say it's their favorite set, but some people say they love it. And some people are going to say they really dislike Evolving Skies. But for the sake of this video, we're going to treat and we're going to talk about three really strong fundamental sets, or three sets that most people would probably consider strong from the same Sword and Shield era. We're going to use all booster boxes. We're not going to use any holiday specialty sets or sets that are not from the same era, so all Sword and Shield booster boxes. And we're not going to look at all of the Sword and Shield block, because I do believe that the Sword and Shield base and Rebel Clash do sort of sit apart from the other booster boxes in the Sword and Shield era. Not only were they from a time where sort of there weren't production problems, there weren't sort of the same hype going on in the hobby, so they were just they were different fundamentally made sets. And so we're not going to talk about those this time, though we will probably another video. We're going to talk about these sets from Darkness Ablaze onward. So we're going to talk about three sets that I consider to be good fundamental sets. That's Vivid Voltage, Evolving Skies, and Brilliant Stars, and then four sets that I consider to be somewhat weak or neutral. I don't want to say too weak, but just more neutral to good sets rather than strong sets. And those are going to be Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, and that should be a good little round out. I feel like I thought we only had four, so that's just three. That's good. Okay, so starting first with Darkness Ablaze, though. Darkness Ablaze is going to be one of the sets that I think started off all of the craze. Not only did you see a Charizard, the first VMAX Charizard released in Darkness Ablaze, but you started to see sort of the change in ordering from distribution. Now, I could order as much as I wanted of Darkness Ablaze from my distributor, and there wasn't necessarily as much demand for Darkness Ablaze as there was for like other booster boxes. It was pre-ordering for about $110, $115. And so it sort of came out, it sold for about $120 a booster box, $125, and then it sort of fizzled out. After the hype died off and you started to see some of the singles sort of die down, the real problem that happened with Darkness Ablaze, I believe, is Champion's Path. Champion's Path came out, and the big chase card in Darkness Ablaze, the Charizard, the VMAX Charizard, they came out with a Rainbow Rare Charizard from Champion's Path that sort of overshot the Darkness Ablaze one. And so except for being a print run of a set that people weren't collecting so much, it wasn't a card or a set that was desirable to open after a certain point. And so we started to see a slow decline until we got to a point where there was just none left on the market, and then you just saw a sharp uptick in all sealed product. And so we're going to look at about a year ago. The sealed product for Darkness Ablaze was actually $191. And so $191 is quite high for a product like this when the best hit was probably at that time close to $100 for the Charizard. And so it's Charizard or bust, and oftentimes Charizard and bust. And so you really didn't see a point to opening it, but it was a sealed collector's item. So it was all the way up there close to 200 mark. And then what we saw was something that happened at the same time. We're going to see a trend. This whole video is a big reprint was dumped onto the market. And so after that big reprint, which happened right around October into November, beginning of November of the end of last year. Basically, all the product that was ever promised to distributors for all the waves of product that had happened throughout the years of 2020, 2021, they all got dropped on distribution and LGSs at the same time. So all those LGSs took all that order, and essentially it tied up all the capital they had. And so everyone had to dump that product because essentially they didn't have the money to pay the bills if they didn't. And so all that race for the bottom started. So you're going to see a trend in this whole video where around this time you saw a big drop off. It just looks like the sealed product prices just jumped off a cliff there. And so then after that, we started to see the bearishness of the market sort of take hold there. And it bottomed out all the way at about $97. And then after that, there was no more reprints of Darkness Ablaze. We started to see a slight uptick to where we are now at about that $125 mark. Now, Darkness Ablaze is close to 2 years old at this point, and so I do not expect there to be another reprint of Darkness Ablaze. Now, if there is, I do see it providing a little bit of steady downward pressure on this set because there's no reason to open it at this point. No one's chasing this set. But it should just see that steady, slow uptick of what happens to sealed product for sealed collectors, especially product that doesn't have a real demand to be opened once it's sort of had its big drop off and its bottom. So I do think that Darkness Ablaze is, it's one of those sets. I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I don't think it's a strong set by any means. So we'll see if it can recover after that big product dump off. But right now, it's at that 2-year mark, so it's right at the point where I would expect it to really start seeing at least a slow upward tick up if we were going to see anything. So next, we're going to go to the Vivid Voltage booster box here. Vivid Voltage is also a set we're going to have to apply a little bit of our anecdotal experience here because it does only provide us 1 year of data here. And if you look back 1 year, Vivid Voltage was about 131. And then you look up and it's gone up on a little roller coaster of a ride. You see it going up the old mountain there, and then it jumps off with everyone else right around October when the big reprint happened. But there was a story to be told right before that as well. Vivid Voltage actually went all the way up to about $220 at a certain point. Pikachu was sitting at about $300 to $350 for the Rainbow Pikachu as far as a chase card. There were several other cards, the Amazing Rares that were quite desirable, the Rainbow Rares, the Full Art Trainers, waifu cards, beautiful artworks in the set. It was just a fun set to open, and it was the first big hype Sword and Shield Modern set that we experienced. And so there's a big shortage of the first print of Vivid Voltage. There just wasn't enough to go around to meet demand. That wasn't to say there wasn't a lot. There was tons. That stuff was printed a lot. But there wasn't enough to meet demand, which was even higher. And so what we saw was Vivid Voltage go all the way up to about $220 before it got hit with a reprint. Then that reprint, of course, caused it to go down the hill, and we saw it go down all the way down to about 100 again. Then we saw it go to about 150, 160, 140, 150, 160, and then what happened? It went all the way down to here. So about a year ago, you started to see it on downward trend. So we're seeing it go back up the hill again. So it's going down, and this time after that big drop off, we're starting to see less of this roller coaster effect and more of a slow, steady uptick because now the whole modern hype, the modern craze sort of moved on to alternate arts. This set has no alternate arts. So I do believe that Vivid Voltage has no reason to get another reprint. And I do believe that we'll probably start seeing this set doing what the other sealed sets, and this is something that's different than I think something like, for example, Darkness Blaze, or what we'll talk about in a moment is Battle Styles. This set actually has some strong fundamentals to it. I do believe this is a set that we'll see a little bit of a long-term desire for with that Chonkachu, and it has some decent memories and nostalgia attached to it. So I would expect this booster box to start doing a little bit of something in the near future, and at about $125, that's about what I would expect it to see. Now, so I I don't mind Vivid Voltage. I like Vivid Voltage. I think it's a strong set, and I see a strong future for this set as well. Battle Styles, the set that people love to hate. Now, this is a set that I think is far just misunderstood. I think Battle Styles, I don't think it's a strong set. I think it's going to be the weakest set that we're going to talk about all day today. But I also do believe that it gets a little bit of a more of a rough time than it deserves. I remember when Battle Styles came out. It was the hypest set that people could remember. The Urshifu was selling for $200. The blue Urshifu. The gold Houndoom, I believe, was close to $100. The cards were desirable. And that's not to say that the value of the cards is what makes the cards desirable, but the value of the cards typically is tied to how desirable the cards are, or how usable they are in the game. And so those cards, and then the Tyranitar, the Sleepy Tyranitar is desired, even though it wasn't going to be used in the game. It was still like a $70 to $100 card. I forget what the exact number was on that. And so the prices of the booster boxes were pre-ordering for close to $150, and they were holding at that for about 2 weeks after release. And then what we saw from Battle Styles was essentially just a downward trajectory, just nothing but downward pressure in Battle Styles. And then you'll see on this 1 year price trend, a little bit of it looks like a roller coaster ride. These numbers are so minuscule. 110 was the height that it went to after its initial fall from power. And it never really recovered from there. So then we saw the big drop off, and it hit its floor of about $78. Now distribution price is close to $90. It's $86 or $82 depending on, and that's before fees or whatever, depending on what levels you're buying from, how much you're buying, what your deals are. But we'll say $90 is like distribution after fees and, some other hidden expenses there. And so $78 for that is very, very low for a product that's, even though it's not desirable, that's its floor it hit. And now it's done what we expect. It went back up slowly but surely to, big $93, $95, big $95 there, and it's doing its downward movement. So I don't expect to see a lot more Battle Styles get reprinted, but I also don't expect this set to really have any reason to move upward. There's a lot of people sitting on Battle Styles, and so it is one of those sets that I think is going to unfortunately be sort of stagnant for a while, but I do believe it has some stronger fundamentals than people like to really give it credit for. All right, let's move into Chilling Reign next, because Chilling Reign, this is a fun one to talk about. Chilling Reign came out after people were really sick of Battle Styles, but they weren't sick of the alternate art style of work. And Chilling Reign was one of the sets that really came out hard with the alternate arts. And so you got, I think it doubled or tripled the amount that we got in the set, as well as it gave us that gold shiny Snorlax. And so this is a set that was quite exciting, and right now is sitting at about $89. And so those cards are still in the set, but the cards aren't as exciting now compared to some of the Charizard alternate arts or the Evolution alternate arts. But this was a set at the time that when it came out, it was pre-ordering for $150 to $180 depending on the time and how quickly and how, where you got your pre-orders from. So it was quite high, and it dropped off after release, just like all the other sets did. But it took maybe 3 to 4 weeks rather than about a week or two like we started to see. And then it just started sort of going down. And so now, about a year ago, we look at the prices. It's about $122. We started seeing it doing what typically the sealed product was doing until we got that unknown, that uncalled for, really a random wave of product that dumped on us at the end of the year there. And so you saw a huge drop off, and then it just never really recovered from there. And it's doing what all these other, what we would call weaker sets have done, and it sort of trended sideways or even downward in some regards. And so I do believe we could see more Chilling Reign. This is getting a little bit more in the ultra modern, even though this is all ultra modern. I'd call this like within reprint realm. All of it's within reprint realm, but this one for sure, because there are cards I believe that are useful in the game and that we're going to need to see for years to come. So I do believe that this and Battle Styles, to that regard, Battle Styles could also get a reprint. But Chilling Reign especially, I would expect to see at least a little bit more of that come to market on the distribution side. Now, Evolving Skies, we're going to get into one of the second sets that I would call a strong fundamental set that we have here in Modern. But Evolving Skies is probably the best set in the Sword and Shield block. Now, there could be an argument to be made for, I believe, Brilliant Star. But Brilliant Star, I think it has some challenges surrounding it. And we'll get into that. But Evolving Skies was a set that when it came out, everybody knew this set was going to be a home run. This was not a sleeper set. We knew because of the Eevee Heroes set in Japan and all the evolutions that were going to be in the set that this was going to be a banger. We knew because of the Blue Stream Sky set, the Dragon set that they got over in Japan, that we were getting a Rayquaza, we're getting a Dragonite. We knew this would be a fantastic set. So, when the set came out, it was pre-ordering for what I believed was quite low at about $130, $135. Now, this is actually way before the set came out. These are pre-order prices from places without their allocations. But when people got their allocations, the pre-orders started coming in. And just due to demand, we started seeing those pre-orders just eat up. And so, until the set came out right around here, it went to almost $175, $180, and essentially it stayed there until the second wave of Evolving Skies came out, which came out right at that big dump of product, and it hit all of the stores around the same time. And now, instead of just going all the way down, it actually did go up just a little bit. But then the pessimism of the market really hit it hard, and it bottomed out at close to about $100. So now Evolving Skies has done something these other sets haven't done. We're seeing something for the first time here. Well, Vivid Voltage did this a little bit, but we're seeing it much more aggressively with Evolving Skies. It actually trended up. And that's because it's a set that, even though it got the same amount of print as all of these other sets, the demand was so much higher, and the fervor for this set was so much more that it just had to move upward. So I think we're going to continue seeing this, and I think we will see another reprint. So this roller coaster is going to continue. We're going to see it go up, 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 and then down. And then we're going to see that until another year from now, where we're going to start having the same conversation about we had with Darkness Ablaze, where it's starting to get a little bit old here. It's starting to get to the point where you might wonder why they would reprint it. And so this set, I do believe, has a plenty of opportunity to grow, but it has plenty of opportunity to fall as well. So be cautious with Evolving Skies, be patient, and try to hit at one of these next little dips that we see in the road, in the roller coaster ride that is Modern. That would be my recommendation with this set. Now, after Evolving Skies, we did see Celebrations, of course, but that was a holiday set, so we were going to skip that, and we're going to go to Fusion Strike and talk about what happened with Fusion Strike, because Fusion Strike, I believe, was quite an interesting... We're going to look at 6-month data here, because Fusion Strike came out, and actually it came out typically after that big product dump. It came out with the dump of product, sort of in November. And so this is around what Fusion Strike was pre-selling for, at that $140 mark. All the product came out on the open market. People saw what was in the set. They saw the writing on the wall, how everything was just get printed to the ground. The game was up, and everyone was just getting out. And so they really saw downward pressure quicker on Fusion Strike, almost like the week of release we saw this, and it just never really recovered. So unfortunately, Fusion Strike is still, I believe, due for another reprint, and I think we're going to see more of it come to market, and that means it's going to see more downward pressure. So this set is one of the sets that we may seeing below what you're used to seeing at that $90, $80 booster box floor. I think we may see this set go lower, which is just quite a shame, because I love Fusion Strike. I do believe there are better cards in this set than we saw in, like, say, for example, Chilling Reign and Battle Styles, but I do believe it's going to be a set that has difficulty moving up. So next we are going to look for Brilliant Star. I'm going to pull it up here. It'll be the star of the show here. Because Brilliant Star just came out, we're going to look at the 3-month trend here. But here's what we can see from Brilliant Stars. It started off just because after Brilliant Star was really announced and we knew it was coming, it was after that big dump of product, we started to see, even though it was a fantastically made product that everyone was excited about, there's a lot of pessimism surrounding it. So up until the release, so all the way until release, you started to see it holding at that 130, 25, 130, 135, until we saw the release date came to market and we saw people actually get their hands and start opening this product. We started to see the demand to just ravenously increase to really eat up that market share faster than I ever saw with any other set, honestly, even more than Evolving Skies. And so it went all the way to about 160, and then the rest of the market got their booster boxes, which were about a week late or so. And it really cooled off that demand. And what happens with typically with modern sets, especially ultra modern, as they come out, you see right on the release, it's the highest it's ever going to be until years later down the road. And then it really drops off the cliff. So same trend we're seeing with all modern. The same thing that happens with Brilliant Stars happens with every set. It just happens to be a good set. So even though the same thing happens with this set as it does with a bad set, it will probably recover differently. I believe that the good sets, air quotes there, recover differently than the bad sets. All sets are equally, I believe they have equal opportunity, but I do believe that certain sets have better fundamentals to them. And I do believe Brilliant Stars is one of those sets. So this is what happens when good sets go bad. Is when the reprint happens to good sets. Is they go to about $100. They hit their $90 to $100 floor. And what you should do when that happens is you shouldn't panic. If you believe it to be a good set, that's a good time to look at that set and maybe pick up a box or two, because that's really about what we're seeing here. As far as the last 2 years are concerned, it's about the floor. It's about $80. $70-something is what we saw with Battle Styles dip to, but we haven't seen many booster boxes, good sets or bad sets, dip below that. So the difference is the good sets can actually recover a little bit. So take that information for what you will, guys. Hopefully you found that to be useful. This was a lot of fun, a lot of it, it's sort of a different video to make, but I hope you found it to be useful. We're going to be doing more of these in the future, but yeah, if you did find this to be useful, please like and subscribe. It helps us grow. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers. We hope this video ages well and is able to help you in the future as well. And so just to timestamp it, this was the end of sort of March in 2022. We will see from the timestamps on the video here, but it is an interesting note just to kind of look at how that price trend happens with modern, and it is a trend that I believe can be followed. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one, and catch you guys next time.